What is up, everyone? It is Archimedes Aizen here, back at it again with a new video. Now, this video is gonna be pretty much like Ichigo having the Almighty in a sense, and yeah, and pretty much Juha, not the incarnation of Juha, but the actual Juha will be in his mindscape and pretty much replace Zangetsu in a sense. So instead of Ichigo using his like his zanpai like a sword, he's gonna be using something a little bit different. All right, so hopefully you guys like this, and yeah, without further ado, guys, roll that intro. So we pretty much start this what if the day of the hollow attack on Ichigo's family. Basically, this would have just been marked the starting of the episode. Now, pretty much what would happen is Rukia would enter his room trying to look for the hollow, as you know, she assumed that she can't be seen since she's in her shinigami form. So Ichigo would still have the usual, freaking out, saying like, why are you here and all. And pretty much Rukia would say, use her Bakudo number 1, Sai, yeah, I think I said that right. But pretty much this will hold him in place. Now, like, for maybe a few seconds, he would actually start to use his Ryatsu unconsciously, as he would break out of the Kido with ease. This Kido is like the weakest Kido, weakest Bakudo in like all of Soul Society. So it's pretty easy for him to break out of it. Then he'll jump down the window, as he'll pretty much he would see his dad pretty much lying there, like he's almost dead, or I mean, he's kind of been playing the part, as he's not supposed to, like, Ichigo's not supposed to know he's like a whole ass shinigami. And pretty much Uryu's sisters, like Yuzu and Karin, they would all be injured and all, as Ichigo would kind of get a slight boost of his own energy, I mean, which wouldn't really be seen, but he would start to get enhanced like strength and speed, as he'd be able to at least like keep up with the hollow for a few seconds, giving time for Rukia to basically give Ichigo some of her Ryatsu. So basically what would happen is, instead of Ichigo pretty much accepting her blade, she's just like gonna give him pure Ryatsu, hopefully enough to jumpstart maybe his own shinigami powers. As what would happen is, we see inside Ichigo's mindscape, someone will be sitting on a chair, as he would open his eyes, as there'd be multiple eyes in said eyes. This would be none other than our boy Juha. Juha would be like, "It's time for you to use your power, Ichigo," as he would call Ichigo to his inner world, as he would appear, as walk up to Ichigo before tapping his forehead, for giving him access to the Almighty and all of his Quincy powers. Soon enough, when he pretty much grows up and starts to get more experience with power, he'll be able to like get all of the shrifts and be able to use the power to what he wants. As pretty much what would happen is, there'd be a huge explosion of Ryatsu, as Ichigo would be seen, as he would have that sword of Juha, the one that's in the panel, where he says like, "My power is not that to look into the future, but to alter it." And he would start to get this black gooey substance covered in his body, as if you see closely to his eyes, there's not just one eye, there's like 3 eyes. And the thing is, his hair color turned black, as his eye color turned red. I don't actually know if he has red eyes. I don't think he does. I think he has brown eyes, but I might be wrong. Not brown eyes, but maybe he just have orange eyes. I'm not really sure. I don't think the eyes even matter at that point. But basically, he would start to slowly but surely turn into that of Juha. But, he would still keep some of his features. He would pretty much be like Mugetsu, but like with the Almighty, and not just like a final Getsuga Tensho. So he would then look towards a hollow, as he would just, appear behind the hollow, as the hollow would start to be chopped up into little pieces, as Ichigo would disperse of the blade, and sooner or later his hair would turn back to his usual orange hair, like orange, spiky hair, as he, this black gooey substance, that's kind of sounded sus, but like the almighty substance would start to come off of his body before going back into his chest. And Ichigo would go, run up to Rukia, helping her up, as this is like the only time like, Ichigo finally got to talk to her. So he would say, "So you need help, right?" As for some reason, just like him holding, like helping her up, like something weird came out of his hands, as pretty much Rukia seemed to be healed. Now this would obviously be the power of like high speed regeneration in a sense, since all Quincy's do have some sort of high speed factor and high speed regenerative factor, forgive me. And this is pretty much Ichigo healing her. So Rukia and Ichigo, they'd be like, how about names first? As Ichigo would, offer his hand, like, the handshake, as he would say, Kurosaki Ichigo. As Rukia would smile before, I guess, accepting the handshake, saying, Rukia Kuchiki. As pretty much to sort of start their, I guess, friendship in a sense. As we'll do a time skip to the next day. Now this, like the whole night, they didn't really have much to do, and they couldn't really fall asleep since, Rukia would so be like sleeping in his closet and all, like just like canon. So pretty much Ichigo would ask Rukia to tell her about all where she comes from, and she would start to explain to him about what soul society is, and explain to them what souls are. Explain people who gain their own powers, have a sword, and then awaken their Zanpakuto are pretty much, they live in the Serite. They can go to the academy, get their Asuchi, awaken their Zanpakuto by constantly being with it, and then join one of the 13 divisions. And if you really like the higher the division in numbers, like for example, like 5, there's just Division 5 is like mostly Keto, or Division 1, or Division 6 or 8. And then she would say that she's from Division 13, but her captain's pretty nice. So if he ever decides to visit, like Ichigo, if Ichigo decides to visit, then, he'll be a pretty cool guy, like Ukitake. As pretty much Ichigo would be like, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And before they would notice, it would already be morning. As Ichigo would say, so I assume you're gonna have to like play the part. So let's just say I'll meet you after school. I gotta go to school. Rukia would be like, school, is it like the academy? As Ichigo would say, yeah, I'm right now starting my first day of high school. So pretty much I'll be back in about, as he would look at his clock and would say, in 6 hours. As Ichigo would say, I guess you could cleanse hollows at that time, play your, still pretend like, doing your duties in shinigami, as a shinigami. As Rukia would be like, okay. As Ichigo would put on his, uniform before then walking out, as he would still dodge the kick from his dad Ishin, as he would always pretty much like ever since he was like after the death of his mother, like a few months of grieving after that, his dad seemed to like to jump scare him every morning to try to keep his senses up. And Ichigo, even for the first few months, he had a rough time, but after that he seems to always catch his dad's kick. And pretty much, I guess Ishin saw this as some way of helping Ichigo mourn and hopefully, keeping, staying on his feet. So, valid. That's pretty good, Ishin. W Ishin. No, I'm just kidding. So, pretty much Ichigo would go to school, as he would, see Chad, and they would walk. Before then, they would, go to a street. So pretty much what would happen is Orihime was about to be ran over. So Ichigo would try to go save her, but out of nowhere, for some reason, her leg got grabbed. So this is like her brother like saving her, the hollow. And pretty much what would happen is Ichigo would see the hollow and then like see it disappear. So Ichigo would walk up to her before then seeing the bruise on her leg from like the hollow grabbing her leg, as then he would then heal it, I guess, without her knowing. As Orihime would be like, kind of be like, I'm so clumsy and all, as she really is, but we're not going to talk about that. So Ichigo and Chad, they would meet up with the rest of the friends, as Ichigo would still clothesline Keigo, and pretty much Keigo's soul is the verse, but he still gets clotheslined by Ichigo. Like, the fuck? I'm just kidding. But basically, they would go through the whole day of school, and they would start to get situated in school. For after school, pretty much what would happen is Ichigo would, go and back to his house, and him and Rukia, they would start to training, honestly. Like, Ichigo would want to learn about how the Shinigami arts work, and pretty much Rukia would say, yeah, there's this shop, and pretty much he's very friendly towards, Soul Reapers, but there's only one rule. They can't really, like, talk to the higher-ups, since apparently this shop is not really approved by Soul Society in a sense. We all know the reason why is because Ichigo, because Kisuke is exiled, meant for execution. Nah, I'm just kidding. But basically, they would head over to Urahara's shop, as once they would get there, pretty much Rukia would request a Gigai, as pretty much, she would be given a Giga. Damn, like, I don't know why, but like, I always get my pronouns wrong every time, bro. I accidentally say he or she. I should just say the name, honestly. So Rukia would get her Giga, but the thing is, when Ichigo would look at her, as Rukia would say, what's wrong? As Ichigo would say, he would look, and this Giga, it doesn't look right. As he thought it was just he thought it was just him being weird and all. Maybe he just woke up on the wrong side of bed. As he would smile and say, no, it's nothing. As he would say, you just look fine. As pretty much what would happen is they would head out with pretty much Ichigo be given the mod soul. As Ichigo would say, I don't need this, honestly. I'm not like a shinigami, I don't know what this thing might be. This thing just looks suspicious to me. As Rukia would just be like, just try it. As they'd be outside, as Ichigo would then, pop the pill. That sounded sus. Don't demonetize me, YouTube. I didn't mean that type of pill. As I would show my face, and pretty much Travis Scott the Travis Scott face would pop up. I'm just kidding. But basically, he would pop the mod soul pill, thinking it's a Gigai pill, as his body would pop out, as he would go, once he would see himself, he would have that same almighty substance in the long black hair, similar to that of Mugetsu, as, sooner or later, like an outfit would start to form on him. Now, this would be that of the Quincy outfit, which is seen in the render of the thumbnail. I actually don't know if, Izu would actually show this thumbnail. If he does, he go. If he don't, you should see it on the video. But after this, Ichigo would then, just raise his arm in the air before summoning a sword. Now, this sword would be that of Tensa's Zangetsu, which would be in the render. I swear that shit looks so fire. But whenever Ichigo uses, the Almighty, it'll start to turn blue, and it turned out of, Yuha's sword. So what would happen is, pretty much Ichigo, slowly but surely, he would start to carry some of Yuha's characteristics, but he would still have his same goal and all, protect his friends, stuff like that. As him, we'll do a time skip to, I don't really like to go over, I'm just gonna do the time skip all the way to the duel between Ichigo and Uryu. So what would happen is, one day he'd be walking through, and him and Rukia, they've been, alright, I'm gonna say this right here, bro. This is the first video, and the only video where I'm actually, kind of doing shit, but, it's not even, okay, let me explain it to you. So, basically, I'm not even gonna go into it that much. I'm just gonna basically say that, they're dating, I guess. I'm not gonna go into details and all. They're still gonna act the same way, okay? Just don't, I don't know, man. It's just I don't know. For example, small tangent here, okay? I'll try to, this is a movie special, by the way. So this won't really be much of a problem if it was parts. But basically, I was doing a feature on Xehther's channel for What If Deku Was a Saint, and every time I said Bakugo, people thought it was a gay shit or something, even though I was saying her last name at the time. She was gender bended, and I couldn't even do it, man. I couldn't. I don't know why. I just don't like doing ships. It just really irks me in the wrong way. I can definitely do a good one, but when it comes to saying it out loud, it's not happening, bro. It's not happening. But basically, we'll go back. So Ichigo and Rukia, they'd be walking, kind of chilling, and pretty much after school, they just walked out with their backpacks, as Uryu would pop up, and he would say, you, as he would point his fingers towards Ichigo, as he would say, when you were in your Shinigami form, quote unquote, why did you have a Quincy outfit? Does Ichigo be like, what the fuck you saying? Hello? You good, bro? What's a Quincy? Uryu will be like, you're pretty pathetic. How do you have a Quincy power? As Rukia would start to remember something, what Uryu was saying. As she would say, weren't all the Quincy's exterminated 200 years ago? What do you mean? As, Uryu would look towards her saying, shinigami. As they would both transform into their quote-unquote shinigami form, with Ichigo getting his long black hair and his almighty substance. Pretty much when Uryu would look at him, he would remember something. He remembered his grandpa told him a rumor, I guess a fairy tale in a sense, about a man who pretty much looked exactly like Ichigo and was said to die 1,000 years ago. But there was a prophecy stating that in pretty much what would happen is Juha, he would get his senses back in 900 years, and then I think it was 990 years. Then in 9 years, he would then regain all of his power, using Oswalin, and then from there in 9 days, 9 years. Wait, whoa, slow down. Okay, let's slow down. 990 years, he gets his senses. Then 9 years, he uses Swollen. Then from there, I think it's a few years until then 9 days. So it's years, centuries, that's decade, then days. That's how it works. It's it has a lot of correlations to that of Jesus, but Yuha's not Jesus, okay? It just maybe has some correlation and all. Maybe has the same purpose. Not the same purpose, but never mind. So pretty much what would happen is Uryu would say, so you're a Quincy? As pretty much what would happen is Uryu instead this time would challenge Rukia, and they would have the whole hollow contest with Ichigo kind of joining in. Ichigo's, it's that hollow bait seemed a little too strong, so he joined in as kind of independently. So any of the hollows he took out, let's just say they were just for his own purpose. He got his own points, but he wasn't really participating in a sense, so it didn't the results didn't matter. As pretty much what would happen is the whole Gillian would start to form as the space would be ripped open, as Urahara and the rest of I think it's it was just Urahara, and then pretty much Urahara would save Tatsuki and Urahime earlier on, and then pretty much they would meet up with Ichigo. But with Tatsuki and Urahime not seeing Ichigo nor even seeing anything, they would just head back on their own thing. Even though they can still sense danger, they're trying to head the other way. They aren't really trained to be warriors and anything like that. But Urahara would pull up saying, oh shit, that's a Gillian. As what would happen is Ichigo and Uryu, they would look together. They just both acknowledge that they were both Quincy. Damn, I had to pick that up. My bad. But basically, they both acknowledged they were Quincy, so what would happen is they would kind of do a sort of combination attack. Ichigo would then make a sword, as Uryu would kind of, for a few seconds, power that sword. As Ichigo would raise the sword above his head, as he would slice it down, as a huge blue wave of just Ryatsu would come out. As, I wouldn't really call this Getsuga, but it's kind of like Getsuga at the same time. Since technically the Getsuga that Ichigo was using, with his not his real Shikai, his fake Shikai wasn't technically Getsuga, because after that they changed Ichigo's Getsuga to yellow. So I think he was just using his Quincy power to just slice the air, and he just named the technique. So Ichigo would then use his Getsuga Tensho, as he would slice the Gillian in half, and the Gillian would kind of try to regenerate itself as it would run away. So everyone would be shocked, as Ichigo pretty much scared a Gillian, which was a big feat on its own. So pretty much what would happen is, I guess the whole concert events would happen with Ichigo saving the semi-transformed hollow, as later that night Ichigo would send something off with Rukia, and he, for just a few seconds he used the Almighty and saw what's gonna happen. Byakuya and Renji gonna pull up, but at the end, he saw the end, 10 years from now, and he knew it was all gonna be fine. So what would happen is Ichigo would I guess meet up with Rukia. It'll kind of be in his room. As what would happen is Ichigo would tell Rukia that I assume that the Shinigami are here, right? They're here to bring you back. As Rukia would say, yeah. As Ichigo would say, go. Don't worry, I'll see you later. Trust me, I actually mean it. As, pretty much what would happen is there would be a bit of an emotional moment. I guess, you can picture it however you want. Honestly, I'm just trying to tell you what happened. If you wanted something to happen, then it'll happen, okay? So, at the end, we then see Rukia, like, walking off, as the whole encounter with, like, how pretty much Renji found it would be the same. They had the whole goggles so they could sense the Ryatsu, which was suspiciously given by Aizen. And pretty much Ichigo would then go out, as he would pretend like, oh, Rukia just dipped, and now he was, making sure, like, she doesn't leave, but that was kind of false. So what would happen is he would have the same fight with Renji. He would unsheath his sword, as pretty much Renji would be like, do you even know the name of your blade? As Ichigo would say, I'm not a filthy shinigami. I'm not a monkey like you with no standards. You just kill people for no reason. There's no shinigami with that. You have no honor. Unlike the sword god Oetsu, I actually respect him, but you I don't. As he would summon his blade, as he would then slice down, as a huge blue arc of Ryatsu would come out, as this would hit Renji, sending him flying back into a wall, and his whole shoulder would get bloodied. As pretty much Renji would then go into a Shikai, saying, roar, Zabimaru. As then we see pretty much Renji's blade transform into kind of his Shikai state. I don't know what you would call it, Renji's blade, like if we're talking actually like realistically and all. But he would start to swing his blade, as it would start to extend, as Ichigo in his state of shock would not really know what's happening, as he would get a cut on his shoulder, similar to the cut he gave to Renji. As he would back up, as pretty much a blue substance would go over, similar to basically him using Blood Fiend. As Byakuya would say, oh, Blood Fiend, you're a Quincy, aren't you? I thought they all died, but you don't seem like a usual Quincy, you seem like a more evolved version. Who are you really? As Ichigo would say, for a second, Yuha's like personality would kick in, as he would say, I'm the king of all Quincy's. As he would appear by Renji, as he would slice his back, and then he would pretty much Renji would then feel this cut as he would fall to his knees before passing out. Byakuya would then say, quite weak. Basically talking to Renji. Basically, how did he lose to such a weak person? That's what he's basically saying, for anyone who's confused. So, Byakuya would unsheath his sword before then going into his Shikai. And Ichigo, seeing this and knowing what's going to happen in the future, he lets this attack hit him. But he still puts up an attack. Now, Byakuya seeing this, he would see, why did he lower his guard? He still blocked, but he could have easily defeated me. Why did he let his guard down? As he looked towards Rukia, as he realized, Ichigo's passed out and all, their mission was to pretty much arrest Rukia Kuchiki. So they would pretty much, they would, I guess Byakuya would arrest her in a sense, as Rukia would walk willingly into the Senkaimon with pretty much Renji waking up, and he'd be having all cuts and shit. As what would happen, Renji would get up and they would head into the Senkaimon gate. Now, we then see Urahara standing over Ichigo with umbrella. Now this was the best foreshadowing ever. I swear that umbrella moment in the manga panel, that was the best foreshadowing ever. Don't even debate me on that. That's one of the best foreshadowing moments. You basically see his whole raining, as Ichigo would then feel the raining, the rain on, I guess, pummeling him in a sense. That kind of sounded sus, but it would have been hail at that point, as pretty much Urahara would walk in, showing the umbrella, as this would block the rain, giving him a glimmer of hope in a sense. It's symbolic in this, since we see later on that rain is supposed to show the despair of a warrior, as then we see Urahara blocking it, giving Ichigo a slight chance to maybe get back and be stronger in a sense and get up. As pretty much Urahara would save Ichigo, but really Ichigo's high-speed regenerative factor would kick in. But Urahara and Tessai would definitely help him though. As Ichigo would wake up, he would for some reason be calm. He wouldn't like go around saying, "Where's Rukia? Oh, where's Uryu?" No. So pretty much Ichigo realized that Uryu was fine, as for some reason he says to Urahara, I need some training. I don't understand what these powers are. Hopefully, if I understand what the powers are, I can hopefully be stronger. Can you help me with that, Mr. Hattenclogs? As Urahara would be surprised. Usually, like, canon Ichigo would be quite, I guess, brash, and he wouldn't really focus on... I'm not saying Ichigo is a bad character. I'm just saying he really didn't focus on, like asking for help. He wasn't the person to ask for help. It would have just... It didn't seem right for him. But to see Ichigo almost begging in a sense, he wouldn't say, "Oh, don't worry, Kurosaki. You'll get the right amount of training here at the Urahara Shoten." As pretty much Ichigo would, do a sweat drop as they would head downstairs. Now, this time, they wouldn't do the whole... Shatter Shaft, I guess. They would just have Ichigo go into Jinzen, because Ichigo technically, to Urahara's theory, he's already gotten his Zanpakuto. So they just need Ichigo to go in there and train more, in a sense. As pretty much what would happen is Tessai would do a time displacement technique. So pretty much Ichigo in that time would be training, let's say for... I'd give it maybe a year, but outside it'd only be about 10 days. So I guess it'd be like every 1 month and a half, that would be 1 day. And Ichigo would, like, you can see Ichigo's getting taller, his hair getting longer, similar to that of his Dangai form, as, oh, that's going to be the end part. We're going to go to the start. So Ichigo would do his Jinsen technique, as he would go into his inner world, as he would see Juha, as he would see like Juha and his whole almighty state sitting on this throne, not a throne but like a chair, as he would say, Ichigo, my son born in the darkness. Ichigo would kind of get weirded out, be like, you should not my dad? What the fuck? As Juha would say, not biologically, but the power you hold is from me. So I call everyone who holds my power my son or daughter, in a sense. But there isn't much. For some reason, I haven't really given much female Quincy a lot of power. I've been absorbing a lot of them, as Juha would say this in his head. But he wouldn't really say it in the same tone I'm saying. Yeah, I can't really get that. I can get the serious tone, but like, it's not really needed. So Juha would then say, Ichigo, you know who I am? As Ichigo would say, yeah, not really. As Ichigo would start to hear the story about Juha. As Juha would start to explain that I'm the son of the Soul King, and when I was a kid, I was sealed into that of a baby form. But for some reason, I didn't really see it, but I felt it. People just started, like, I guess not even, just they like kind of tapped me with their fingers, and I felt like a piece of my soul go into them. Now, I swear, if I see any jokes about like underage sexuality, I swear I'm just gonna okay, never mind. As pretty much, Juha will explain how he gained power is from those Quincy's who he gave the piece of a soul to, and he gave power to. But he explained that he has, like, if he were to absorb them back, he'd have their powers as well. As he realized the downside of having all these powers, he was slowly turning back into his baby form. So he told Ichigo that he basically went into his body, hopefully that he can use his powers much better without all these shackles holding him. As Ichigo would be like, I'm shocked. I didn't know why you would choose me. Why would you choose me? As Ichigo would being told by Juha that he's the son of one of his daughters. I mean, like, obviously by Quincy standards, which would be his mom being Misaki. And basically, Misaki was a pure blood until, unfortunately, I had to absorb her in the Oswalin technique due to her being affected by Hollow. Because if I didn't, then she would be in the Hollow, which wouldn't be good, right? As, I mean, Ichigo would be like, yeah, those things don't really look cool. As pretty much Juha would say, yeah. And pretty much, he would start to explain to Ichigo his whole backstory. After explaining his backstory, and he would say, without all that, my fucking god, with that all, pretty much said, let's get to training. As they would use that technically it's 1 year because of the time distortion technique that Tessai did. So they would train for a whole ass year, like in the mindscape. So Ichigo would start to learn all of these hacks, like literally, like Juha. When it comes to hacks, he has the amount of Yu-Gi-Oh, like this, and pretty much he would start to learn more techniques with the Almighty, being able to see instead of just like, for example, he saw like 10 years into the future. That was only for a short amount of time due to the situation. So now, if he wanted to, you can see whenever he wants. He can see 300 years, he can see 100 years, whatever he wants. And this means he has to expand his mind. If you can see so much stuff, your mind might just go into overload, or you might just fry your own brain. So Juha would then teach him how to, I guess, expand his mind in a sense to then take that capacity. As pretty much what we'll be going over is pretty much the Soul Society arc. After Ichigo would train, Ichigo would thank Juha, as what would happen is Juha would then tell Ichigo that he's not going to really be here anymore. He has nothing else to teach Ichigo, and Ichigo pretty much reached his full power. Anything he learns now is something he has to do on his own. As what would happen is Ichigo would then, I guess, like Juha would then merge with Ichigo, kind of going back into his soul. So Ichigo would kind of just no longer have a Zanpakuto, and he would still have that same self-accepting moment of they are Zangetsu, but instead of they, you can just say he is Zangetsu, and then Zangetsu is me, kind of a thing here. But yeah, after Ichigo would gain his powers, you would then pretty much gain a huge power boost. Basically, if you absorb Juha, like damn, like you're OP. Like, so he would start to gain all of the shrifts Juha has, and then all the abilities. And let's just say Ichigo will definitely be able to save Rukia. Now, we'll time skip to the day of the rescue. Ichigo would then, get up early, as he would see the message on his door. I guess the board of it, like the wall of his room. As this would be like, meet us at Urahara Shoten in 10 minutes. And if you think this is a murder mystery, like scene with the whole blood, then you obviously have no sense in humor. As Ichigo would then throw his pills, saying, "Shut up!" And then, like, because he'd be annoyed. Not annoyed, but comically annoyed. As he would get on his outfit, go into his shinigami form before, obviously, after saying goodbye to his dad and all, and he would head over to the Urahara Shoten. Now, once he would get there, pretty much they would start the mission. Uryu would be there and all, as Ichigo would then tell Uryu to come over to him. As Uryu would walk over to him, before Ichigo would then tap his head, similar to that of Itachi to Sasuke. And pretty much what Ichigo did is he gave Uryu his anti-thesis, but he didn't actually give it to him. He just placed it in his memory so like Uryu can learn it and all. As pretty much what would occur is suddenly Uryu would feel a new technique, like an idea, as Uryu would say, "Oh, so that's what you did." As they would nod at each other, kind of getting a mutual of, "Yeah, I'm not gonna say what you just did it to me." That would really spoil the viewers. As yeah, I already spoiled you, so fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. But basically, all of Ichigo's friends, they would be at the Senkaimon portal as they would head inside. Now, pretty much they'd be running forward as Ichigo would tell like Yoruichi, or obviously thinking it was the cat, to jump on his shoulder, saying that they can all flash step over there, or get their way faster via teleportation. As Yoruichi would jump on his shoulder, as Uryu and Ichigo would use the Harankayu. I can't say it, but it's the Quincy. Oh my god, man, my voice. Every time, bro, I'm kind of sick. So every time I try to talk, man, my lips get so dry, and then my throat gets dry, so I can't even say anything. So like, hey, bro, I'm on like overtime in a sense here. So they would then use the Quincy style of flash stepping, as they would reach to the other side before they would even see the cleaner. So they would get to the other side of the Senkaimon, and they would land quite well. They didn't have to like crash onto Urahime's shield. So they would then head over to Kakaku's house. So once they would get there, Yoruichi would and rest of everyone else would be seeing the guards, as they would recognize Yoruichi, pretty much welcoming them welcoming them in. As what would occur next is Kukaku would ask for, what the fuck's happening. As, Yoruichi would say, it's from Urahara. As Kukaku would automatically get serious, since anything that Urahara like ask for like a favor, it's automatically serious. As Yoruichi and Kukaku, they would talk in private. As we're gonna flashback, so we'll go to the day right before the rescue mission of Rukia, the Soul Society arc, and pretty much Ichigo and Urahara, they'd be in a room. As they would Ichigo would request to speak to him alone. As what would happen is Ichigo would get up and he would grab him by the shirt, as he would pretty much like pin him up to the wall. As he would say, so I see, what was in that Giga in the first place? Like, it was like not even helping, Rukia. It was like sapping her of her Ryatsu. Like, what was in that? As Urahara would be like, I have no idea what you speak of, Mr. Kurosaki. As Ichigo would say, summon his blade, and he would point it at his neck, and he would say, I swear, if you don't tell me, I will slit your throat. You know me. When it comes to resolve, like, there's no hesitation. When I say I'll slit your throat, I'm gonna slit your throat. Okay, Urahara? So I want you to tell me, what did you put in the Giga? Very simple question, alright? It's very simple. Just say, what did you put? That's simple, okay? As Urahara would say, okay, Mr. Kurosaki, I put it wasn't even a Giga. I was putting in an artifact I made a while ago. I didn't want it to fall in the wrong hands, so I decided to put it inside Rukia. But the side effects were that Rukia would forever be a human. As once Ichigo would figure this out, he would, pull his blade back, as he would say, there, see, now we can finally be honest. As they would then sit down, as Ichigo would say, so who's this person you didn't want it to get into the hands of? As Urahara would say, Sosuke Aizen. As Ichigo would remember from all the memories, he sees that, like, not his memories, but like his future. He sees himself fighting someone named Sosuke Aizen. As he would say, tell me about him. What does he look like? As Urahara would say, he has brown hair. He usually wears glasses, but he doesn't need them. And he has, I guess, silky black hair, since everyone in Soul Society almost everyone in Soul Society has brown hair. So it's not really like useful to say brown hair. So Urahara would then reach in his pocket and get a picture of Aizen, and Ichigo would be like, oh, interesting. So I assume I'm gonna be fighting him soon, and hopefully I'll decide the fate of the world, since he wants to be sulking and all. As Urahara would be like, what do you mean? As pretty much Ichigo would be like, don't play around. I know who you are, Urahara Kisuke. You're from the royal family of like the Soul King. So don't play around. You know who the Soul King is. As Urahara would suddenly get serious, as he would say, yeah, I know who the Soul King is. As Ichigo would say, so who is he, if you know him? As Urahara would say, the Soul King is a linchpin, something that holds all the worlds together. Without him, we'd kind of resume back to our usual first world, where all the worlds are merged together. And that means no, filter for all the hollows running around rampant. And that would be pure chaos. What a horrible place to rest. As Ichigo would be like, oh, interesting. So why do you even want the Hokyuku? Like, what does it do? As Urahara would say, what it does is it sees the user's hearts and senses their desires, and pretty much if they can reach the potential of that desire, then they should be able to pretty much, become what they desire. As Ichigo would be like, that's quite powerful. If someone wanted to, they can constantly, in a battle, evolve above the person. It'll be like a get out of jail free card. As pretty much Urahara would say, yeah, just like that. As what would happen next is we'll go back to our present time. Kukaku would get the cannon ready and they'd shoot them off. Now, what would happen is Ichigo and Yoruichi, they'd stay together, and Ichigo definitely made sure of that. And Ichigo would bring along no one. This had to just stay between them. He couldn't risk bringing anyone else into it. So Ganjo would be on his own. I mean, he knows his way around. And Uryu would be with Orihime. And I think I got everyone. Yeah. Orihime with Uryu, Ganju, and Chad. Chad would pretty much go by himself. He went by himself in canon, which also led to him being defeated by Kiraku. So yeah. Now what we'll be going over next is Ichigo's perspective. Now, like we've always been going over. So Ichigo would be running through Soul Society with Yoruichi on his shoulder, and pretty much Yoruichi would tell Ichigo where the cave is, even though he already knew where it was. He saw it in the future, but he would still play along and run to the cave. Now what would happen is they'd be running until all of the, I guess, second division captain, obviously we know this is Soifan, would be going towards the explosion. She is pretty much the stealth division captain, or the commander, so it was her job. As Ichigo would go to unsheath his blade, as Yoruichi would be like, you wouldn't want to do that, she's a captain. Ichigo says, I know what a captain is, alright Yoruichi? I know how strong they are, okay? I am stronger than all the captains put together, except Yamamoto, or whoever that the general is. As pretty much Ichigo would then disappear as he would flash step in front of Soifan, swinging his blade down. And Soifan's great reaction speed basically caused her to unsheath her blade and clash. Now what would happen is Soifan would be like, that's quite bold of you. You could have easily disappeared. I sensed you. But why did you choose to fight me? As Ichigo would say, I knew you sensed me, so there was no point in fighting. You are the second division commander of the second division commander of, the stealth ops. You can easily track me down. As Ichigo would say, it's better to fight you now and defeat you than run away and have you find out anything more than just my look. As Ichigo would then pretty much go into his almighty form in a sense, as his hair would start to turn black and grow much longer, similar to that of Mugetsu, which I'm going to say in every sentence so I can give you the visual look. Then his eyes would turn red, as he would get multiple of them, about 3 in each eye, and they would kind of form a triangle in a sense if you really looked into them. And then his blade would start to turn blue in a sense, as Ichigo would then pretty much, I guess, use the future, and Soifan's sword would break. It would break into two pieces, like in half. As what would occur next is Ichigo would flash step in front of her, before then grabbing her by the face and then throwing her across a building, into a building, then across, throwing her into a building, then she'd be on the other side in a sense. As once the rubble would clear from obviously him throwing her, he would start to see white lighting from there. This would obviously be the Shunko technique, as Soifan would start to use the Shunko technique, as pretty much Yoruichi would try to warn Ichigo, but Ichigo already knows what this technique is, as he already has access to the future. It's pretty easy for him to figure out. So what would occur next is Ichigo would unsheath his blade, or I guess summon it from air, as then he would just slice down, as a Getsugo would start to form before it would hit Soifan. Now Soifan's Shunko would, I guess, block it off, as Ichigo would say that's quite an impressive ability. But all of a sudden, a huge slice would appear on Soifan's chest, as he would say, but that's not good enough for me. As Soifan would drop down, severely injured, before Ichigo would then walk off, as Ichigo would severely output his Ryatsu. Now we then move our perspective to Yamamoto. Yamamoto then just felt this huge pressure, as he felt Soifan's pressure disappear, or I guess it'd be barely flickering. As Yamamoto would feel this familiar presence, he only felt this familiar once, and this was 1,000 years. As he would say, Yuhaba. As pretty much Yamamoto felt Yuha's Ryatsu, or Reishi, as he knows he's going to be fighting Yuha. Well, obviously he's going to be majorly surprised. As what would happen next is Ichigo and Yoruichi, they would head over to the cave, and once they would get there, they would just start training. They knew they were going to be fighting all of Soul Society and hopefully save Rukia. So in this time, I'm just going to say this, Ichigo won't become sulking or anything like that. Honestly, he's just going to have a humble ending. And when I say humble ending, just know I mean humble ending. As what would happen is for the next week, they would start training. And I guess all that time that Ichigo spent fighting Ikaku, Renji and Kenpachi, and also fighting Byakuya temporarily or like for a short time, that would be conserved to train. He would be training to master more of his shrifts, as he would kind of use the power of imagination to help in his training while getting good at the other shrifts, kind of learning what burner fingers are from, obviously, can't even name, I forgot the Sternritter's name. And then he would learn Hashwald's power. I mean, technically, Hashwald power is just looking in the future, which he already has with the Almighty. And then he would learn Askin's Shrift, which was like Poison Ball Deluxe, making a zone. And like it's this completely like, I guess anytime you slice anywhere, the poison just goes directly there, and this is very deadly. Then he would learn Gerard's Shrift, which would then be obviously the miracle, being able to think you're about to lose, but it would almost be like it would be a miracle to win, as this would gain you a power boost, which it wouldn't make Ichigo completely like bigger or anything. It would just make him more powerful in a sense. And when it comes to Reishi and swinging the power, like when he uses like a sword, as this would also account for in his Almighty, as Ichigo realized that he needs to also, like, for some reason he just feels this tingling feeling in his back that he just needs to get stronger. It's the desire to get stronger, to be the strongest. It's almost addicting. As we'll do a time skip to the day of execution. Now Rukia will be taken over to the Sokyoku, as Ichigo would then be watching from afar, seeing that, hopefully once he saves Rukia, he'll be able to go on with his life, hopefully with Rukia. As, he didn't want to deal with Soul Society. Honestly, Soul Society wasn't even half bad. They were just controlled by 46 people, as Rukia mentioned one day about what Central 46 is, and she mentioned her disdain towards them, and also the 5 great noble clans, as Rukia remembers all the time in the Kuchiki clan, as they never really liked her, or at least the elders. Obviously, only the maids really liked her, as I guess that's kind of the point of the maids, but they truly did like her in a sense, and they treated her differently compared to everyone else, and obviously in a good way. So Ichigo would then see his Sokyoku bird diving down to collect the soul of Rukia, as Ichigo would jump in the middle of that, interceding, as I said that right, yeah. And Ichigo would then grab the Sokyoku, and he'd easily absorb this. Now just know what he's about to do to Byakuya is brutal. Like, just say whenever he uses that Bankai, like, rip Byakuya. Now, pretty much what would happen is he would jump down, as he would have, like, throw Rukia to, I guess, Ryorichi in a sense. Ryorichi just took down Soifan, and, like, pretty much he didn't have that same friendship with Renji to be able to, like, throw Ryorichi to Renji. As Ryorichi would be there, and let's just say that fight finished a little bit early, and Ryorichi was, like, ready to basically save Rukia. As, she would catch Rukia, and they'd be off in the sunset, in a sense. So Aizen won't be able to take out the Hokyoku, and let's just say someone else is going to take it out. And it's not Urahara. So what would occur next is, near Ryorichi, they would head to the world of living. So Ichigo has every and any right to go all out. As Uryu would then, like, and the rest of Ichigo's friends, they'd pop up, like Uryu, Chad, and Orihime. As, if you're wondering, wait, doesn't Kenpachi break them out? As what would happen is, Kenpachi, he looks for a good fight, right? He knows Ichigo's so strong, so what happened is he gets Ichigo's friends, and he's, like, I guess, fulfills Ichigo's desire to save his friends, and then hopefully later on, he'll give him a good fight, as he would be, I guess, fantasizing in his head on Ichigo's sword swings and all. Kenpachi just might be almost like, I'm just kidding, as he's sword sexual, honestly, not gonna lie, bro. He'd be loving his sword a lot, like, honestly, man. But basically, Ichigo would then, feel a presence behind him, as he would unsheath the sword and block, as this would be none other than Byakuya Kuchiki. As Ichigo knows he's gonna beat Byakuya, but he wants, Byakuya to feel this, as what would happen is Ichigo and Byakuya, this would be the first time fighting ever since also like the World of the Living. Forgive me for what I was about to say. I was about to say Soul Society, but I meant to say World of the Living, which I said. But basically, Byakuya knowing that his Shikai was not even, I guess it didn't even make Ichigo flinch, but Ichigo still pretended to lose and all. So pretty much Byakuya would drop his sword into the ground before saying, Bankai, Senbon Sakura, Kageyoshi. As what would happen is Ichigo would say, oh, Bankai. I remember this, as he would say, so Juha told me about this about 1,000 years ago. None of you had Bankai until all of a sudden you had this technique, and it pretty much gave you power by tenfold. As pretty much Yamamoto would be listening to this, and he'd be scared, bro, honestly. But he still wants to fight. Yamamoto is still Yamamoto, but he's surprised by Ichigo's knowledge. As what would occur next is Byakuya would get his Bankai stolen. So what would happen is Ichigo would see this and say, what a beautiful Bankai. It would be really, I guess, undesirable if you were to die to your own Bankai, would it? As Ichigo would inform a sort of, I'll say this time, instead of the usual device that Juha makes, I'm just gonna make something up of my own. Like, I mean, he's still gonna steal his Bankai and all. So Ichigo would then get his sword, as he would, I guess, grab it by the chain before then swing it around, as all of a sudden the Senbon Sakura blades would start to like go towards Ichigo before Ichigo would steal the Bankai. So what happened is Ichigo would get Byakuya's sword unbelievably, as he would say, let me show you how to do it. As he would drop the blade before saying, Bankai, Senbon Sakura, Kageyoshi. As what would occur next, as he would go into Senkei. Even though he didn't have any blood, he can still go into Senkei, as pretty much they'd be in their own Senkei domain in a sense. As you know, Ichigo would say, let me show you a technique you haven't even developed yet. As what would occur is all the swords, they'd be going right for Byakuya. As Byakuya would be like, what? How did you? I never even developed that technique yet. That's impossible. As Byakuya would then be impaled by all these swords. As once Byakuya would then be seen, he'd be bloodied against the floor, as his sword would be shattered, and it'd be there'd be nothing but the handle. As Ichigo would walk up to Byakuya saying, you know, I would kill you, but I guess Rukia wouldn't really like that. As he would heal Byakuya just barely, as just enough to stay alive. As he would go, and then pretty much Kiraku and Ukitake, they'd be fighting Yamamoto, and what he's mainly focusing on is Aizen. So since Aizen is not in his whole Mugen form, he can't actually put the Almighty in Kyoko Suigetsu. So what would occur is once Ichigo would then see Aizen, and Aizen would try to use his Kedakare Kyoko Suigetsu, and he would do his whole line of Yokozo Watashi wa Soul Society, of welcome to my Soul Society. As Ichigo would say, nah, I mean, thanks for the invitation, but sooner or later, this is gonna be my Soul Society. Or if I wanted to take it over, I could. As pretty much, Aizen would say, so you had trouble with Byakuya's Bankai, right? As Ichigo would say, don't reflect your anxieties on me. I know you would, kind of lose to it. Obviously, he wouldn't lose to it. Aizen obviously wouldn't lose to this, but he's just saying that as banter. As Aizen would unsheath his sword and clash with Ichigo, before Ichigo would say, so you see me as Ichigo Kurosaki? As what would happen is, that would have been a clone in a sense, since as you know, with Gremmy's imagination, you can make clones, and so he's done that in a fight with Kenpachi. So Ichigo would then say, you should really keep up with your eyes. How did you fall for such an illusion? Isn't your Kyoko Suigetsu illusion placed? How did you actually, you think Kyoko Suigetsu actually worked on me? You're very weak, that, Aizen. If you would need the Hokyoku to even get this strong. This is secretly hurting my heart. I'm sorry, Aizen. I'm just kidding. As Ichigo then swing down his blade, as Aizen would be shocked, as pretty much he would get a vertical cut down his chest, as he'd be like, Nani? And I'm just kidding, but he'd be shocked. How did Ichigo not get put under his Kyoko Suigetsu? It's unbelievable. As Ichigo would say, fitting end for you, right? You almost lost, or the reason you lost was because of an illusion. as pretty much you use illusions, but you die to one. Pretty ironic now, isn't it? As he would kill pretty much Aizen, as he would do the same to Tozen and Gin. Now, once he would do this, he would head back to the world of the living. Now, he wouldn't really like ally with Soul Society or anything like that. What would happen is, once he would get back, Urahara would have already gotten the Hokoku out, and Ichigo and Rukia would have walked off into the sunset in a sense. But not actually really, as for months they would have been hunted down by Soul Society, but obviously they evaded, Ichigo evaded it quite easily, being able to pretty much go back to Yuha's empire, as I guess he would have completely changed the whole script there. And not Yuha's empire itself, like the whole place, he just being able to control the shadows, he would have made a place of his own, as he would have pretty much rested there for the rest of eternity itself. As yeah, that'll be the end of this What If. I hope you guys like it, I guess. It was pretty short. What if I just made this idea up in the middle of my head like a few days ago, but I kind of like thought of it since nobody even did a fanfic on this, like of Yuha like going into Ichigo's body and giving him like the Almighty or anything like that. That never occurred to anyone's mind. So hey bro, I'm the first, so that's pretty cool. But without further ado, guys, I hope you all have a good day. But peace out.